Welcome to my channel. Today's story is one of those cases that stays with you. It's a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous people wear the most respectable uniforms. They fly planes, they raise children, they blend in until they don't. Let me ask you something. What does rage look like when it wears a pilot's uniform? Joanna Simpson was a devoted mother, an accomplished woman, and a kind soul. She came from a wealthy and loving family, and her life seemed from the outside almost perfect. But beneath that surface was a storm no one saw coming. She had once fallen in love with Robert Brown, a British Airways pilot. He was charming, successful, and from the outside, the image of stability. They married, bought a beautiful home in Ascot, and had 2 children. But soon, cracks began to show. Not in the house, in the marriage. Robert was controlling, volatile, and increasingly paranoid. Joanna grew distant. She wanted to leave. She was scared, not just for herself, but for their children. Friends later recalled that she lived in quiet fear, that she had even mentioned concerns about his behavior, that something didn't feel right. By 2010, they were separated. The divorce was ugly, and custody of the children became a source of constant tension. Joanna tried to maintain peace, protect the children, and keep the situation civil. She never imagined he would take things this far. But Robert Brown wasn't just bitter. He was planning. On Halloween night, October 31st, 2010, while the world was busy handing out candy, Robert arrived at Joanna's home to drop off their children. But he wasn't just there for a custody exchange. He had brought something with him, a claw hammer and rage. He attacked Joanna in front of their children. 14 blows, not 1, not 2, 14. It was brutal, intimate, and deeply personal. He claimed later that he lost control, but that doesn't explain what happened next. Instead of calling for help, Robert calmly placed her lifeless body into the trunk of his car, while the children, traumatized and confused, sat nearby. He had already prepared a grave. Days before, he dug a hole in Windsor Great Park and hidden a plastic garden storage box to fit her body. After the murder, he drove there, buried her, and drove home as if nothing had happened. He thought he could outfly justice, but Joanna's family, especially her mother, wouldn't let her memory be buried too. Brown didn't deny what he had done. In court, however, he claimed diminished responsibility. His defense argued he had an adjustment disorder due to stress from the divorce and financial strain. He was not convicted of murder. Instead, he was found guilty of manslaughter and sentenced to 26 years in prison, but with parole eligibility after just 13. Let that sink in. 13 years for ending a woman's life in front of her children after planning her burial in advance. In 2023, just as his release approached, Joanna's friends, family, and the British public launched a furious campaign to stop it. How could this man, who buried the mother of his children like a piece of trash, walk free? Their pressure reached the highest levels of government. The Justice Secretary stepped in and blocked Brown's automatic release, referring his case to the parole board. The fight for Joanna's legacy continues. Now let's talk about what this case truly reveals. Because it's not just about one man and one woman. It's about the silent suffering that happens behind the closed doors of respectable homes. It's about the danger of ignoring warning signs, even when they come dressed in uniforms and polite smiles. Robert Brown didn't snap. He didn't break down. He planned. He waited. He dug a grave. This was not a crime of passion. It was a crime of power. We must learn to listen, really listen, when someone says, "I'm afraid of him." We must create systems that don't let charm override danger, that don't let fathers use custody as a weapon, that don't call it family conflict when it's psychological warfare. If you or someone you know is experiencing control, threats, manipulation, or fear within a relationship, don't wait. Don't hope it will pass. Abusers escalate. Quiet rage turns deadly. You deserve to be believed. You deserve to be safe. Joanna tried to handle things the right way. She followed the law. She tried to keep things civil. But civility doesn't work with predators. Let her story be a warning. But also, let it be a wake-up call to fight harder for justice, for protection, and for accountability. Safety and awareness. Tips. Protecting yourself and your children from hidden threats. Trust your fear, even when others don't see it. If something feels off, even if there are no bruises or outward signs, trust that gut feeling. Abusers often hide behind politeness, status, or a calm demeanor in public. Fear is information. Don't dismiss it just because others do. Understand that abuse isn't always loud. Emotional and psychological abuse, manipulation, gaslighting, control can be just as dangerous as physical violence. It can escalate over time, especially during divorces or custody disputes. Take emotional abuse seriously. Have a safety plan before you need one. If you're separating from a controlling or unstable partner, make a detailed plan. Know where you can go in an emergency. Keep essential documents and money in a safe, accessible place. Let a trusted friend or family member know your concerns. Practice what you'll say or do if tensions escalate. Don't ignore premeditation or obsessive behavior. Anyone who talks about digging a hole for someone or taking revenge, even as a joke, should never be brushed off. Abusers who plan ahead are the most dangerous kind. Document everything and report it to authorities if you feel threatened. Use supervised exchanges during custody battles. If you're dealing with a volatile ex, request custody exchanges to be held in neutral, secure locations or supervised settings. Many community centers and police departments offer this. It's not overprotective. It's wise. Teach children what safe adults look like. Kids often don't know how to process abuse, especially when it comes from a parent. Empower them to speak up if they feel scared or confused. Assure them they'll never be punished for sharing how they feel. Keep records of threats, rage episodes, or unstable behavior. If someone has threatened you, verbally, in writing, or through behavior, keep records. Document dates, times, and witnesses. If you ever need legal protection, these records will be vital. Push for psychological evaluations when needed. Family courts can sometimes overlook mental health. If a co-parent is displaying erratic behavior, seek professional evaluations. Advocate for mental health assessments, especially in custody cases. Surround yourself with advocates, not doubters. Choose to confide in people who listen, believe you, and act. Abusers often isolate their victims. You need a safety net of people who won't just say, "He'd never do that." You need those who ask, "What can we do to help?" Never feel guilty for wanting to be safe. Being afraid of someone who once loved you is not a betrayal. It's survival. Don't let fear of judgment keep you silent. Protecting your life and your children is not selfish. It's your responsibility. Final message. Joanna Simpson did everything she could to keep her children safe. She followed the legal path. She stayed calm. But sometimes the law isn't enough. That's why we must empower each other to act when instincts speak, not after a tragedy, but before one. If you are in danger or need support, reach out. Local domestic violence hotlines, women's shelters, legal aid organizations, family and friends who take your fear seriously. Abuse hides in silence. Let's break it. Thank you for watching, And if you found this story important, please subscribe. Stories like this must be told, not to scare, but to prepare. Stay safe, stay aware, and never ignore your instincts.